So, hello everyone. I'm really happy to be here to share some thoughts and feedback about user experience we had at B2Expand's during the last 2 years designing blockchain games. And why user experience is so important? Because it's something that shapes your games and even your whole gaming ecosystem. So today I'm going to focus on the ecosystem user experience. And by the way, I'm Camille. I'm a passionate entrepreneur working in marketing, and I'm happily in charge of digital marketing at B2Expand. So just a few words about B2Expand. So we are a blockchain video game studio, meaning that we implement the blockchain technology inside the game design or the business model of our games. So our vision is really to empower players and game developers thanks to this new technology. So some of you may know our company under the name of our first game, Beyond the Void. So it's a hybrid strategy game on PC. And it's actually available on Steam in early access and going to be fully released end of next month. This project was funded with an ICO in 2016, so it was 2 years ago, and it was the first ICO in France. Today we are going even further. We are creating a blockchain and gaming ecosystem called the Nexarium. So it's an ecosystem where you will find everything you hear and dream about blockchain. We'll find cross-gaming, game items, true ownership, transparency, decentralization, so everything. Yeah, blockchain games today are like a dream, but when it comes to turn this dream into a reality, it's another things. So as developer, we came through several challenges to bring our players into the gaming and blockchain world. So today I'm gonna just tell you the challenges and solutions we found to overcome them, thanks to the scope of user experience. So let's talk a little about user experience. This way you can understand more what is it. So user experience is based on human-computer interaction. So the goal is to give a specific and familiar marks to players. This way they can enjoy the game without needing any developer in order to play the game. So on one side, you need to analyze the usability of the game. So how does the game work? What are the advantages or limitations of the technology? And on the other side, you need to analyze the emotions of the players also. So mainly how the players feel about the game. Okay, and the first question you ask when you are analyzing your your user experience is, who are your gamers? So for who are you building this user experience? And at B2Expand, we decided to build this user experience for non-blockchain gamers. Our idea is to say that that the blockchain technology is going to reinvent the user experience for gamers, whether they are coming from the blockchain world or not. So our main goal is to make the blockchain games accessible for non-blockchain gamers. So yes, this main goal relies on only one question. So how do you guide a non-blockchain gamer toward blockchain awareness? And that's a pretty big deal, actually. So our first step was to build a familiar environment for non-blockchain gamers. So the idea is to not impose blockchain at the first place, but rather to deploy a familiar gaming environment for players. And that's why we begin to design Beyond the Void. This is a hybrid strategy game available on PC, and it's also downloadable on Steam because this is a platform traditional players are used to it. And you don't need to know anything about blockchain to play it. That's important to hook the player before bringing them to the blockchain and gaming world. So actually this game is like a tool to hook traditional players and then to speak to them about the blockchain world. And yes, then we overcome 4 challenges because once players are playing the game, then they enter the Ethereum ecosystem, and this is where the real blockchain world begins for us. So where the challenges begins also. So the first challenge we face is to make the player responsible for his wallet. That's a big point because being responsible for his wallet means being responsible for his wallet password, so his private key. On the blockchain, you don't have any call to action, reset my password. You are used to it, but on the blockchain, it does not exist. So if you lose this password, you will lose the access for everything inside your wallet. I have just a quick question for the audience. Have you ever surfed on MyEther wallet? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, a few. And how many of you have read all the rules and warning without skipping them when creating a wallet? Okay, no, 1 person. Great. And however, this information is really important for the player because it explains you what could happen if you lose your wallet. And it's essential because you are now exchanging real value, and it's a significant change for players. So at B2Expand, we come with 2 solutions. First is to transform the stressful experience of the player into a positive emotion. So we are based on the emotion side of the UX. So here the idea is to explain to the player that now, okay, he is responsible for his wallet, but it's not negative, it's something positive because he can keep safe everything in his wallet. For example, if there is a problem on the game server, or if the player is banned from the game for any reason, then he can keep safe all his game items. They are not impacted at all. And the second solution is to guide step by step the player towards this new use. So here you have some screenshot to explain how the player creates a wallet on our ecosystem. So first, the idea is to give a timer to the player in order he does not skip, all the warnings. The second solution is to give him the 12 words. Those 12 words are going to be used to recover the wallet, and we give him those 12 words with an index. And then, and we ask him to write it down carefully, because the third step is to test his backup in order to know if the player has written down the 12 words. So we ask him randomly 3 words by their index. This way we know that he had a backup. And an additional solution could be to reward the player by giving him a badge, for example, telling him that it's important that now he has created its own wallet. So make this success a real success by giving him a badge, for example. The second challenge is to simplify the token purchase. So here you have an example of an avatar that you can buy on our store. So you can buy it in Nexium. But so the Nexium is a token, but it's difficult for non-blockchain gamer to buy a token. They are used to... Yes, so a token is like a soft currency in traditional games like games or golden pieces, but here it's based on the blockchain. And so it's difficult to buy it, because with the blockchain it's a dream, but everything is difficult when you want to create it. So the player has to come on an exchange platform, give his identity card to create his account, then wait for several days or weeks in order to be validated. Then he can make a bank transfer to buy some ethers. Then he has to go on a second exchange platform to exchange those ethers for the token he's looking for. And then he can come back to the game store. So it's like a real obstacle course for the players. I don't know if you remember your first time buying cryptocurrency, but it's a very stressful experience. So to avoid this for the player, we are currently working with a partner in order to give the player the opportunity to buy tokens directly with a credit card inside the Nexarium ecosystem without going on any exchange platform, without giving his identity card and waiting for several weeks. So this is a usability side of user experience, and it's a necessity today if we want mass adoption of crypto games. And while we are negotiating, we are offering to our best player some tokens during tournaments. It relies on emotions, and actually players really like it. Our third challenge is to make it easier to pay transaction fee. In fact, on traditional game store, a player just use one soft currency. So it's easy for them to buy anything. But on the blockchain, it's not so easy, as you imagine. So the player has to pay the transaction fee in ethers and to pay the transaction cost in tokens. So he needs several cryptocurrency for only one purchase. And that's difficult to understand. So the idea we are working on is to pay the transaction fee directly in Nexium. This way, the player will have only to use only the Nexium to pay every transaction. So he's going to use only one soft currency like he is used to do it. And here you can also continue the rewarding process by, for example, upgrading the badge of the player because now he has made his first transaction. We are in video games, so badges are very important. And the fourth challenge is to be compliant with the law, and on the blockchain is something very complicated. So the idea is to know your customer in order to protect your business from monetary laundering. So when a player is buying Nexium with a credit card, then the bank knows the identity of the player. So the bank knows if he's blacklisted or whitelisted. So it's okay for us. But if the player uses a crypto account, then we don't know anything about him and we don't have any means to know it. So the idea is obviously to ask the player for this information, but the complexity comes to do it without invading the gamer's privacy and without ruining his experience. So basically we do it step by step. We ask for the minimum of information when the player creates an Nexarium account, and then we ask for a few more information when you create a wallet, for example, the date of birth or the country, and we continue until we need to ask for the credit card of the player, for the identity card of the player. And then when the player finally succeeds to buy his game items, the user experience challenges continues because we need to guide them toward these benefits of these game items. Now we need to tell them that they have actually a blockchain game items. It's not only a game item. So that's why we have created the Nexarium ecosystem. It's one universe where a player can enjoy cross-gaming experience. So it's one universe built around a Korean style storyline using a pool of science fiction blockchain game items. So, for example, you can imagine that you will use your favorite spaceships inside several games. So for now, we have Beyond the Void game, The Runner, and Nexium Rush are currently under development. And for example, if you bought the Jungaliburg game item, then you can use it as an amazing war spaceship in Beyond the Void. But you can also use it as an outstanding racing spaceship in the runner. The idea is to stay in the same environment. But we can even go... Okay, 10 seconds more. Okay. We can even go even further by giving the player the chance to enjoy a cross-gaming experience inter-universes. So, for example, you can use a CryptoKitty item and use it in another game, and it's gonna become a CryptoKitty zombie item. But for a non-blockchain user, it's difficult to understand that these same items can look like different based on the game he's used in. So it's difficult to understand for him. That's why we think that hard work on user experience still needs to be done in order to guide players through all the opportunities offered by blockchain technology. And it's a real adventure for players, but also for us as developers. And we think that this kind of event, of community events, really matters to share our experience. And speaking about events, I'm doing my promotion, sorry. We are organizing the Blockchain Game Summit in 2 weeks in France, and I will be really happy to welcome you all there to meet with experts in blockchain and also in gaming. And thank you all for listening, and feel free to ask any question if you have some.
So do you have any questions for Camille? Oh. 2 questions.
Great presentation. I'm Gabi from Alto. So you said earlier that you're allowing the players to pay the transaction fee in your token. Are you talking about the marketplace fee, or are you talking about gas costs?
About gas cost.
And so, how do you do that?
It's in the smart contract, really. I don't know. I'm in marketing. Okay. No, but I know that this is a solution we are working on, and our developers have found a solution. I don't know what it is, but I know that now the player, nobody, if you want to buy an item on our store, you need Nexium to pay the transaction cost, and then you need Ethers to pay the transaction fee. But now you will be able to do everything only in Nexium, so it's going to be really helpful for players.
Yes, that's a great step for UX, and if you can share those smart contracts, we'll be happy to see them as well.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, hi, it's Kalle again. My question is exactly this, but I was thinking that you mentioned that you have an external partner handling the transaction. So are they actually banking you? So they are taking the risk of some value chains in the coin, either Nexium or the Ethereum. And is it instant transaction for the player? So do they have to wait in the game still for a little while to receive the premium currency?
They are going to use their credit cards, so it's going to be instant or just a few seconds, you know, like in traditional. So the idea is really to make the player feel that they are in a traditional gaming store. So yes, we have found a partner, but it's something very difficult right now because we see some emerging service providers who offer this credit card service. But sometimes they have, you know, like a very high commission in order to be able to reimburse, you know, if something went wrong. And sometimes they have, how do you say that? Like, for example, the player has to pay at least $50 in order to use the service. So for us, this kind of service can't work because a player. The basic basket of a player is like $8 to $10 a month, so he's not gonna spend $50 for just one item. They are not crypto gamers.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Any other questions? I just had one quick one actually. A couple of slides back, you were talking about, I guess, kind of companies working together. So you had BitGuild and some of the other ones. Are you actually, is that something you were just kind of saying on the slide that could happen, or is that something you guys are actually kind of, this one? So are you actually kind of working together in any formal way, or is that more?
No, for now we are working on our own universe in order to keep the player in a safe place. But this is gonna happen like next year, in the next 6 months.